There's so much competition in the PAM space.
There's a platform provider claiming to have the best PAM.
We're looking for an account and wallet. Things like gamification features, things like real-time CRM, real-time data, AI and machine learning, personalization, recommendation engine. All the industry buzzwords, but they're all mega important and underpinned by a good PAM. But having the data and not leveraging it in a genuinely valuable way is ultimately pointless. I think as an industry, we consider ourselves very innovative and very forward-thinking, but I think in this space, probably we're not.
Hello and welcome to the G3 podcast. For years, the player account management system, or PAM, has quietly powered the betting and gaming world. It's the engine behind onboarding, wallets, player data and personalization. But what if that engine is running out of road? Joining me today is Darren Calvia, who's the Chief Product Officer at Veli Group, who's here to discuss how to stop chasing the best PAM and start building something just generally more smarter. Darren, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Will. And yeah, good to be on. Thank you.
So for those who might not live and breathe back-end systems, can you explain what a traditional PAM does and why it's been the backbone of most platforms for so long?
Yeah, sure. I mean, PAM really is the backbone. That's really the word. It's the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of your house. It's the real backbone of all the product suite that operators use. It's around trust, the core functionalities like money management, the super important things like giving people their money back, depositing, withdrawing, the registration journeys, the core flows, plus of course responsible gambling features, protecting customers. All this sits within the nerve center of the product, which is the PAM. So it's mega important. It's always been the core selling point, let's say, of a product especially from a B2B point of view. I think going back a few years, IMS with VeliTech was the industry standard. It was the best in class, and VeliTech always spoke about their PAM as their account and wallet management system. But it's evolved a lot since then, and it's no longer the main talking point when we're discussing products, especially from a B2B point of view.
Would you say that there are signs or symptoms that PAMs have hit a ceiling technically and or commercially?
Technically not. Commercially, perhaps also not. I think it's more about the fact that it's not the PAM itself that's driving the innovation. It's not driving the industry forward, perhaps like it used to be. But from a technical and a commercial point of view, they're both still absolutely integral to selling of a suite of products. And for an operator, they're absolutely paramount. I think technically, PAMs, of course, have got to be performant. They've got to be scalable. They've got to be resilient. They've got to be fast. It's just not really what the sales pitches are anymore. It's not really what's being sold anymore. So technically, absolutely critical. And commercially, it's still often the biggest revenue stream for a B2B provider. So it remains critical in that sense as well. But there are a lot more commercial openings, I think, these days than there used to be. So PAM isn't the only selling point, the only commercially driving revenue stream that B2Bs have. Here at VeliTech, for example, our turnkey offering, which is, our platform is paramount to that. Our platform remains our baby. And we still put more development resource on our platform than we do on any other of our product verticals. So we really appreciate that sort of developing it, supporting it is paramount to what we do. So it's still super important commercially and technically.
And having just come back from Rome and previous to that, Lisbon, previous to that, IGB, ICE, SBC Miami, there is always a conversation at each of these events that I have, because I speak to iGaming providers, sports betting providers, land-based. There's always one or two conversations where there's a platform provider claiming to have the best PAM. Would you say that such language has become somewhat meaningless?
I think so. I mean, as I said, VeliTech and IMS was the market leader, and I think they had the best PAM, and all the tier one operators, here in the UK, every tier one operator either was working with IMS or wanted to be working with IMS. So it was certainly a market leader and the shining light for other platform providers. I think today there's so much competition in the PAM space. It's been saturated. There's so many very, very, very good PAMs. And I think from a performance point of view, a good PAM needs to be, so scalable and so fast and so resilient, like I said earlier, that so many providers have built a PAM that is so good. There are so many in this space now. So I think it's around what sits on top of the PAM, what sits around the PAM, how can you complement it with different products, data, and it's not just the PAM. So has the language become meaningless? To an extent that people aren't trying to sell the best PAM. I think people are now trying to sell the best ecosystem, and the PAM is the foundation of that, of course. We put a big effort to try and work in parallel streams to make sure that our platform is still feature rich and we're enhancing it constantly. We're putting a lot of development resource onto improving our PAM iteration after iteration after iteration. But in parallel, we're working on multiple other product streams that complement it. And I think, many people in this space are doing that. And that's definitely the future, rather than just talking about we have the best PAM.
So it's not that these product streams, as you describe them, are something that will replace PAMs. It's almost something to embellish them. So
Exactly.
pursuant to that, what are these product streams that you're talking about?
So it's about complementing them. So it might be just a full joined up experience. Having a sportsbook integrated nicely into your PAM, game aggregation, having multiple data sources all integrated in the same place. It's an ecosystem. It's real-time data that is fueled from your PAM, but you're ingesting data from multiple different products within your offering. So it's about complementing the PAM with these different products, and then of course things like gamification features, things like real-time CRM, real-time data, AI and machine learning, personalization, recommendation engine, all the industry buzzwords, but they're all mega important and underpinned by a good PAM. But yeah, more around those things that the discussion is about, rather than purely a PAM narrative, like I think we all had previously.
So would you say it's almost a model? Is that a fair description?
It's a model, yeah, exactly. It's a model in the sense that it's all joined up. PAM is one component of a wider infrastructure of, modules that sit within a turnkey offering, for example. But if you think of the PAM very much as the foundation, like I said earlier, of the house, and all the other maybe cooler, more innovative, more engaging, more exciting features and products that sit above it, all work together and complement it in that way. So it's a very important model, but it's one of several, yes.
And looking into your background, you've held roles at Ladbrokes Coral, GVC Group, and Entain. So you've got that operator perspective as well. So is this approach that you're describing more about freedom for the operator or more control for the player? And what would you say the ideal balance is between modularity with stability?
So you're right, yes. I think having been through the operator world and working for many, many years on B2C, you understand the pain points of the operator. So you understand the pain points of the customer, of course, but the pain points and difficulties that an operation has to go through in order to set up real-time CRM, set up campaigns, tweak the product, configure the product, work with personalized experiences across multiple jurisdictions. It's very complicated to be an operator. So I think having that mindset does help working on the B2B side, because you can really try and answer those pain points through product. So the balance between modularity and stability, like you said, I think first of all, customer experience has to be the most important thing. So players getting a good experience on site has to be the most important thing. Stability is also paramount. So ensuring that the products are stable and scalable for as many players that want to be on it concurrently, as many jurisdictions as you're operating concurrently, and then tailoring player preferences and individual behaviors, giving better experiences to those customers. So experience, stability, and ultimately an operator or a brand, a sign of success is ensuring that all that flows through down to the bottom line, and that there's a direct correlation between adding value to stickier player experiences, more features, more products, and that flows ultimately down to brand value and growth of the brand. I think a combination of all those things and finding and this is obviously the $1 million question, like how to find that sweet spot that covers all those things: driving value, stability, and experience. Finding that middle ground, that sweet spot, is what I think everyone is striving for.
And AI, predictive analytics, and personalization are three topics that regularly come up in conversations and interviews. How do these three elements kind of fit into this? It's not a post-PAM world, but it is in a sense, because the PAM's still there, but you've got all these other product streams that you've described, and this whole new model which is where you and Veli see things going. How do these three things fit into this world you describe and this model?
So, of course, data is the most important thing here. So ensuring that the data is relevant, the data is accessible, the data helps brands improve customer experiences, give them more relevant features, more relevant offers, more personalized experiences on sites. This is obviously integral to what you're calling the post PAM world. But whether it's AI features, recommendation engines using AI models, whether it's personalization using, again, ingesting customer data through all the different touch points that now customers are interacting with, I think is the main point. So the more products and the more features and the more channels that customers interact with on a brand, the more data the brand can capture about that player's behavior, and ultimately using that data, whether it's through AI and machine learning, or whether it's predictive analytics, or whether it's just using real-time data, can give those players much more personalized experiences, more valuable experiences, and hopefully more fun experiences. Having the data and not leveraging it in a genuinely valuable way is ultimately pointless. You can have as much data as you want. If you're not using it in the right way, it's not giving the brand or players the benefits that they can get from it. And I think AI, you touched on AI and machine learning. I think as an industry, we consider ourselves very innovative and very forward thinking, but I think in this space, probably we're not. And we've barely touched the surface with them. If you look at what the likes of Netflix and Spotify and these sort of mega powerhouses are doing with personalized experiences and using AI models and algos to really create amazing, easy experience for customers, we show that we were a long way behind. And iGaming's got a massive opportunity to catch up with those other industries and ultimately try and lead, like I think iGaming does in many other aspects.
I understand that you're firmly on the product side of things as chief product officer, but I think there's also a perception challenge that needs to be overcome from Veli's point of view, this outsider looking in the sense of convincing clients to stop chasing the best PAM we discussed before and start thinking ecosystem first. So if, for instance, if a startup came to you saying we just need a good PAM, how would you go about reframing that conversation?
Very good question. I think 90%, 95% of conversations that we have at ICE, for example, sales pitches, clients, when they talk about a PAM, we're looking for an account and wallet. When you get into the crux of the matter and really get into the details of what they're looking for. It's not actually a PAM that they're looking for. So like reframing the conversation actually is quite easy. So if you've got a suite of products and there is a joined up ecosystem, you can offer a real omni-channel joined up experience across channels and touch points and products. It makes that conversation very easy. So, showcasing that you've got a suite of gamification products, showcasing that you offer personalized experience, showcasing that you have real-time data that can be used on any product and touch point. It quickly reframes itself that it's not actually the core wallet and the core account that a potential client is looking for. They're looking for a bigger, wider ecosystem than simply the PAM. And I think if you can genuinely talk through the value of what these products are, and they're not bolt-on products, it's part of a real joined up, infrastructure and ecosystem. People realize very quickly that they'll never get close to that utopia state of seamless products and all the data underpins them if they're not working with one provider that can offer all those things together. Having a brand that takes a PAM from one supplier, sportsbook from another, bolted on gamification features from another, etc., etc., etc. It works, but it will never work as well as having one sort of seamless ecosystem. So, sorry for the rambling answer, but I think it resells itself if you're able to generally explain what products you've got and the value they bring.
I wouldn't say it was a rambling answer, but I'd say that what you've done there is you've described kind of what a truly connected player ecosystem looks like in your mind's eye. Is that something that you're striving towards, or is that something that you can offer now?
We can offer that now. It's obviously a ever evolving and ever growing and ever improving thing. It doesn't stop evolving. Our roadmaps are absolutely crammed with improving all these different features across different roadmaps, across the different product verticals, like all other B2B providers, of course. But we're in I guess, a privileged position that our technology is all proprietary. We've got the PAM that we think is really our infrastructure, but then we've got our own proprietary sportsbook. We've got game aggregation. We've got game studios. We've got our real-time CRM and workflow products, and we've got a suite of gamification products that are all integrated all to the same suite of products. So we do have this infrastructure now. We have the ecosystem now. It's multi-channel across retail and online. We strive to be omni-channel first. So yes, we have it now, but it will be better in 6 months and better in 12 months and 18 months. This isn't this is a living and growing thing.
And you described the PAM, and I'd say just to kind of tie up this conversation a neat little bow. You described earlier the PAM as the foundation. Do you think? But of course, foundations change. The creation of making foundations on a house changes. Do you think that PAMs will ever truly die, for want of a better phrase, or do you think they will just evolve into something unrecognizable from what we know today?
Definitely the latter. I mean, the PAM will never die. There are some things that are absolutely non-negotiables. Looking after players' money, giving them access to winnings quickly, responsible gambling tools, all the things that a PAM is paramount. But there's, I think, a limitation of what the PAM should become. I think, again, back to my old example of IMS, I think the PAM got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. In my head, the PAM keeps the core functionality within it, and it does it very well. It does it very quickly. It does it in a very stable and resilient way. And all the other features and functionality innovations that sit around it. So it is a distinction between the two, but they all must work completely complementary in a complementary manner. And I think your example of the house is the right one. You could get a fancy architect's house with all the bells and whistles and amazing interior. if the foundations are built on sand, the fancy house is as good as valueless. And it's the same with the PAM. So I think it will never die. It will just be positioned differently. The narrative will be different, and people will be more talking about data, real-time experiences, and all the complementary features and functionality and products that sit above the PAM that underpin them.
Darren, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I guess a final question. I know I said the last one was would be kind of how you're preparing for ICE. Will you be having anything kind of new to unveil at the show, or can you not say anything about that at this point?
So the planning's already underway. It feels like a lifetime away, January, but really it's round.
It's really not. No,
it's really not. So yeah, we'll have a big stand at ICE this year. We'll be showcasing all our products. Yeah, there's a few new things to be sort of showcasing there. I'll probably leave it to the sales guys when we get there. But yeah, there's a few new things to be shown, and I think if anyone wants to come and speak to us, we'll happily talk about our full product suite, and love to get into a conversation around ecosystems and joined up experiences and what we can do to help.
Brilliant, great stuff. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you very much, Will. Cheers. Been good to be on. Thanks.